I thought for the longest time that cross trainers were just about dead. Not the cross trainer device, I'm talking about the shoes. And I can't say I'm all that surprised, because for a really long time, all of the cross trainer type of shoes have been pretty daggy, and they've just about been replaced by shoes that are aimed more to CrossFitters. But the shoe that started the cross trainer segment is back. This year it's been released in a bunch of different colorways, more than half a dozen. The one that I've got in my hands right now is the Shima version of the Air Trainer 1. How good is this Shima version and what makes it up? Well, you'll just have to watch the video and find out. Let's get into it. The Air Trainer 1 was released in 1987, and it was a design that was conceived by Tinker Hatfield. Tinker Hatfield is a designer that most people are familiar with because he is behind the original Air Max and most of the earlier Air Jordan silhouettes. We all know that I love a story that sits behind a pair of shoes, and I think the story that goes behind the Air Trainer 1 is really cool. Tinker came up with the idea for the Air Trainer 1 one day when he was at the gym. He noticed that people were changing shoes depending on the activity that they were doing, running, lifting weights, whatever it was. And so he designed a shoe that would be able to cater to multiple activities so that people would be able to wear one shoe without needing to change them depending on whatever activity they were doing. The Air Trainer 1 then was worn by some professional athletes, including John McEnroe, who wore the Air Trainer 1 while playing tennis. But these days, and much like many other performance silhouettes from 20 and 30 years ago, the Air Trainer 1 is a strictly lifestyle only model. Well, it is in my opinion anyway. And I think it is a great base to start from, and I'm really happy that Nike have brought it back and brought it back in so many different colorways. Here in Australia, there tends to be two prices for the Air Trainer 1. Typically, they are $170, but this guy, the Shima, is $180. I'm not sure if it's because of the material mix, which is different to some of the other Air Trainer 1s, but there you go. This isn't my first Air Trainer 1 either this year. I was able to get a pair of the chlorophyll Air Trainer 1s that released earlier in the year, which is an OG colorway, and I've had to hold myself back from buying a few other pairs that I think Nike have nailed as far as colorway application goes. The Shima is different in its material mix to some of the other Air Trainer 1s that have been released, in that the upper is basically a full suede upper. Everything from the toe box, midfoot, the heel, and even the tongue is done in a suede. It's not a super hairy suede, but it's not like an untextured suede either. Kind of sits somewhere in between that like suede spectrum, and it feels pretty nice. It's relatively soft where it needs to be, and it's, you know, suede. It's good if you like suede. The color palette in the shoe is basically brown. There is brown everywhere in the shoe. The outsole and every panel up top is some form of brown. There is very little other colors. In fact, the only areas where you would see a different shade other than brown is in the outsole, where you see some tiny Nike branding in red, and then some, I don't know what kind of text it is on the tongue. It's maybe a foreign language, I don't know, but that's done in a red stitching. Nike have included a additional pair of laces with the Shima, and they're red. I think that's a really nice addition for a shoe like this, because it's so heavy on brown. It's really easy for them to get kind of lost on people's feet. And so if you are looking to have the shoe pop a little bit more, the red will do that perfectly. As far as the comfort goes, it's really hard for me to say that these are any more or less comfortable than an Adidas Forum, a Nike Air Force 1, even an Air Jordan 1 or a Nike Dunk. I think it's about on par with how each of those shoes feel on feet. There are a couple of additional features I think that can maybe enhance the comfort more than maybe any of those other shoes do. To some extent, the heel is padded and does give a nice locked in feel around that area, but the forefoot strap will probably help you dial in the fit that you like. If you like it a little bit more firmer, you can give it a little bit more of a tug. Otherwise, you can sort of loosen the strap if you want it to fit a little bit more roomy in that part of the foot. With sizing, I would recommend going true to size if you are interested in an Air Trainer 1. It doesn't fit like any of the typical basketball silhouettes where I think there is a little bit of room to move, especially with the Air Jordan 1 and the Nike Dunk silhouettes and even the Air Force 1. I always say you can probably size down half a size to a full size depending on how you like the shoes to feel on feet. The Air Trainer 1 fits as true as you can get, and I've got a US 13 that fits me how I like my shoes to fit. I'm a huge fan of the Air Trainer 1 and have no hesitation in recommending anyone get a pair of Air Trainer 1s. I think the price point is really fair. I don't think that they're expensive at all. And while I don't think they're cheap, I still do think they are a really good buy at the price. It's really going to come down to what people's tastes are. The Shima is very heavy on the brown, and while I personally wouldn't change anything on the shoe, I think the shoe itself looks great. It's really up to you whether you like it or not. And so with that, I think the Air Trainer 1 is a definite tick. If you are looking at an Air Trainer 1 and are wondering whether or not it's a good shoe, I think it is a great shoe. The Shima though is going to depend on your preferences for color palettes. I think it's versatile. I think it can work in so many different situations, and it's why I like it. The red laces really give it an element of versatility, but yeah, it's up to you at the end of the day. I would still love to know what you guys think of the Air Trainer 1 and the Shima Air Trainer 1. Let me know in the comments below, but until the next video, laters.